Good morning, gentlemen. How we doing?
Awake and here.
That is the first time I've heard that intro music, and it's kind of dope. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you.
Really feeling it.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys would like it. I put it together last week, but obviously I wasn't on the show. And I'm like, man, I hope this doesn't suck. I hope I'm not the only one who likes it. So good to hear that.
Yeah, you risked. That was
that was risky.
No risk it. Yeah, no risk it, no biscuit. As they
Bruce Arians was my favorite head coach.
I will say that it's a good way to get started. The best way to get started was Thursday night, where my Chiefs held on in a battle with the Chargers, and I mean, wow, hell of a start to the week. I didn't think 3/4 of the way in, 2/3 of the way in, that KC was going to be able to hold up. I mean, who knew that the AFC West was going to be defense minded? Absolutely, Les. Let's get it.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt you, Nate. If you haven't already, folks, go over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out Les's first article with us. Awesome description of wide receivers he should be targeting this week, and as well as ones he maybe should be letting go. He'll be doing a lot of that type of article content for us going forward. A lot of ad drops, a lot of get ready before the waiver wire season, what to do during the waiver wire season. A lot of exciting stuff coming from Les. So go read his article over at fantasyandframes.com. And of course, we got Gator J joining us this morning. What's going on, Gator J?
Good morning, Gator. How's it going, buddy? Man, that reminds me, I only got about 40 lineups on Sleeper that I have to go adjust. Do you guys have that same issue? Do you have so many different leagues on so many different platforms that you have to try to remember to go to each one to set lineups, or am I the degenerate here?
I have successfully transferred most of my leagues to Sleeper, but I still wish there was a way to do redraft dynasty, make a folder on that leagues menu.
Yeah, you're probably.
Well, you can drag and organize your leagues.
Yeah, and I have them organized like that. I got best ball at the bottom, redraft at the top, dynasty in the middle. I just wish there was a folder.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I have redraft leagues on Sleeper, ESPN, and MFL. Unfortunately, won't. But Sleeper and ESPN are probably the ones I check more constantly than I do the MFL lineups. MFL, I'm just like, okay, day of, just boom, boom, bing. There you go. My roster's set. I'm not going to fret over anything that's going to happen between now and then. Whereas the other ones, I'm just like, I'm getting notifications nonstop. I can't help but check it.
Which, speaking of that, I did go in. Tyler, you're going to be the decision maker here. We have a start-sit dilemma. I don't know if it's a dilemma or if it auto-did this. Jorge and I split a dynasty league with the Gridiron Ratings crew, and we have a spot that for tight end premium where we have Dallas Goedert and we have Taysom Hill. So this morning, I was going in just to double check, and I see that Taysom Hill is in and Dallas Goedert is not. So I was going to wait for this opportunity to make sure that, because I get the feeling that it's not going to default Taysom Hill into your spot. Are you starting Dallas Goedert or are you starting Taysom Hill?
So do you want my brain's answer or my heart's answer?
Yes.
Yep, they're different.
Yes. My brain's answer is Dallas Goedert. That's an easy call. Him and AJ Brown were the entire passing offense pretty much last week.
Correct.
Taysom Hill. Is he going to be the RB1? He might be the RB1. Alvin Kamara's out.
Yes, Mark Ingram's not. Mark Ingram's not. Tony Jones Jr. is not.
Oh God, sorry.
Hey.
Where's your brain and your heart now, Tyler? Huh?
I as we were speaking before you even brought it up, I jumped Taysom Hill up to my tight end 16 on the week.
Okay.
And I want to move him higher, but it's hard to.
So it's funny you said it, because I have Taysom Hill at tight end 16, but I have Dallas Goedert at tight end 6.
Oh my God, Nate, how do we agree on freaking everything? This is irritating. I have those exact same things.
Well, then how is your heart that much more inclined to want to move? You would have to move Taysom Hill 11 spots. Is there anybody that you can move 11 spots playing against Tampa defense? And it's Taysom Hill who, and remember, this is a tight end premium, so the tight end exception is a little more valuable. But how many targets did he have last week?
That is a good question. It might have been 8 or so.
Taysom Hill?
Oh, Taysom Hill. No,
Yeah.
I think it was, what, 2?
One.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
But he did have 4 rushing attempts for 80 yards.
81 yards.
All right. So this is when you look at your opponent. Are you playing a really, really good team? Do you need to go for a ceiling play? If so, just, throw Taysom Hill in there and hope to hell that he has 12 rushes and 4 targets. If not, if you feel like you can win with 10 to 15 points, probably throw Goddard in there.
Right. Yeah. The hard thing with that league, seriously, when you look at your opponent, is that it's a 17 starter IDP blend of everything. So, I mean, it's
naturally, right?
You start to build everything up and you're like, I don't know if I mean, what do you, I think their projected points, it's chaos. And so it shouldn't honestly be as big a conversation, I wouldn't think, but it kind of is, because there is a chance, like you said, that he sees an expanded workload this week. But is it worth? We'll have to make that decision at the end, Jorge. Because if you want Taysom Hill in over Goddard, I'm not going to stop you from doing it, as long as we can have a conversation.
I'm just saying, I when I saw the usage last week, I'm like, okay, here we go. We're back into, like, you know what, Taysom Hill is the cheat code at the tight end position. But you bring up very good points against for Dallas Goddard, but. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we got time. We got a couple hours.
And let's hope that that's not going to make the biggest difference. But let's jump into the games. Luckily, we're not going to start with New Orleans, Tampa Bay. When we get there, we got a little bit to go. We got one game before we talk about Tampa Bay, New Orleans. So let's start with the exciting New York Jets, Cleveland Browns battle. Cleveland is a 6.5 point favorite over under one of the lowest of the week of 39.5 points. Jorge.
Yeah.
Either of the two quarterbacks in any type of league short of a 30-team league that you're ever stepping Flacco and or Jacoby Brissett in your lineup?
No. In fact, I have Brissett in a super flex league that I got him, I want to say, in a dynasty league, in a super flex dynasty. He was the only quarterback left for my QB2. And I'm not even starting him. I'm like, no, I'd rather put in, I'm on Ross St. Brown than Jacoby Brissett. So no, to answer your question.
Right there with you. All right, Tyler, where do you have Brissett and Flacco in your rankings?
Irrelevant.
29 and 30. Exactly. I had
nothing. You're nothing to me.
Damn near. It's ugly. But running back to one question I had, can we learn anything from last week? Tyler,
30 and 31. Sorry. Cooper Rush is 32.
Okay. I have 29 and 30. So it's I think everybody should collectively. Tyler, what type of involvement? I mean, last week what we saw was that Flacco decides that he's going to dish out about 50% of his entire passing volume to his running backs. Is that a scenario you see going forward? Heavy, running back usage in the passing game?
See, I'm struggling with that because each Breece Hall and Michael Carter got 10 targets, I believe. I think that was the number.
Yeah.
Flacco threw the ball 59 times. That is an absurd number for anyone to throw the ball, especially Joe Flacco.
Right.
I mean, Corey Davis got 9. Both Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson got 6 and 7, respectively. Like, there were targets to go out around all over the place. That being said, yes, I would expect these running backs to get a healthy target share. They don't have enough time to get these wide receivers open at all times. Their offensive line is okay. Yeah. They're missing Mekhi Becton. I'm sure they would like to have him. Flacco just doesn't have it, man. I mean, I think he will gladly take the underneath route, and not to mention the Browns have one of the best young secondaries in the league. But I mean, between Grant Delpit and John Johnson and Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward, like, those guys they're all like potentially stars. So yeah, I'll take the running backs in this game, and I'll take the Flacco running back targets.
Or on the not to jump too back and forth on the IDP, but he mentioned Grant Delpit. with Delpit playing up in the box and this potential for, for the Jets to not probably push the ball downfield all too much. Is Delpit moving up your safety rankings for the week?
Yes, but not a lot. I still am concerned from the IDP side for Delpit. Just because he's crowding the box doesn't mean that the Jets don't stick with their plan from last week and keep Michael Carter involved in the passing game. And that's gonna, if it was just a single running back or a pair of running backs that they're traditionally known for just going up the middle or bouncing it out to the side. Okay, then I'd be concerned I'd be more excited for Delpit or a safety who's crowding the line of scrimmage. But I think Michael Carter, we saw this in North Carolina with him and Javonte Williams. We saw how much having a 1A, 1B situation worked out well for his upside. You started to see a little glimpse of that last week against a Ravens team that I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect the Ravens to let Michael Carter just do Michael Carter things.
Right.
And I don't really see that much of a drop-off this week from what they could potentially be doing with Cleveland. I'm all on board the Michael Carter trainer because of that. I think you can lower some ceiling for your IDPs in terms of the tackle upside if you're counting on these guys to get you these tackles against these running backs.
So you met Michael Carter last year. You saw BB-8 yesterday or 2 days ago. Who is bigger, BB-8 or Michael Carter?
So BB-8 is like wider. He actually has like a bit of a droid beer gut going on here. Okay. Solid muscle though. A solid muscle beer gut there for BB-8. But Michael Carter is taller, but not by much. I'd say I'm 6'2", and I don't know his exact measurements. He came up to like my mid arm. This is Michael Carter. So I mean, who cares? This guy can ball out. This guy can play like with the best of them. So good for him.
Right.
So BB-8 is Mike Tolbert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe MJD.
Oh yeah, Tolbert, MJD. Who was the guy from the Chargers who then went to Atlanta? Michael Turner with the big legs. Yeah. So next time you have AJ Dillon, do like a draft for you. Just say, hey, you're my BB-8 in fantasy football, just because he has like the wide, stocky legs and whatnot. That's a similar thing to what BB-8 has going on.
Gotcha. That's a perfect analogy. I'm sure he would love to hear. In fact, actually today, after this, I am meeting back up with the guys from our Scott Fishbowl draft who work with Dylan and Rogers and company. And we're going to go to the HQ today. He's got a little food truck coming in and everything. Yeah, he's a great league person to be in with because he wants to have a party with everything. So I'm down. Tyler, if you're having a party of Cleveland Browns wide receivers, is Donovan Peoples-Jones the number one invite right now still? What's going on?
Yes, he is. Because he is the big body in the room. He is the over the top or middle of the field receiver. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Jacoby Brissett is incapable of throwing the ball down the field. He can't do it. He is putting 150% effort to get that ball 15 yards down the field. So I think I would play Donovan Peoples-Jones and David Njoku with being the middle of the field guys. I'm not touching Amari Cooper right now.
No, Jorge, are you? I mean, I'm so far out on Amari Cooper. I have him around wide receiver like 50.
Yeah.
49.
Yeah. If I had to pick a wide receiver, it'd be Donovan Peoples-Jones in this situation. We mentioned him earlier. Les did a great job breaking down actually Donovan Peoples-Jones's metrics last week and his average depth of target and just how much more of a fantasy upside play he is for players this week. So definitely recommend people go over and check that out. It'd be him. That being said, if I'm picking anybody in a receiving situation for Cleveland, it's Njoku, or it's not even pronounced Njoku. How's it pronounced?
Njoku.
Njoku. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm starting David Njoku, and that's pretty much it. But if I wanted a sneaky play, I'm in a deep league. Donovan Peoples-Jones is where I would go.
God, if Indy and Cleveland play when Bobby Okereke tackles David Njoku, I'm going to be screwed for saying that 15 times. Man, he's so mad at me. I'm just gonna
That's
butcher it all.
All right, here's an ugly question:
What's
Donovan
up?
Peoples-Jones or CeeDee Lamb?
Stop it! Don't this scares somebody who has CD in a DAC
You
stack.
both do. That's his like. He's Michael Pittman, and how are you starting a team, Tyler?
I don't know. I have CeeDee Lamb and Michael Pittman everywhere. I mean, I've got freaking Christian Kirk, Jeff Wilson, Miles Sanders in my starting lineups over these guys.
At least you got some options. Jorge, what are you doing? You're not really starting DPJ over CD?
No.
I can't either. I mean, I know that it's fun fodder, that there's a chance. Like in a DFS scenario, I would probably spin down and feel comfortable getting similar output out of Peoples-Jones than spending up to get CD, if it's even spending up.
See, I would. It's funny you mentioned that, because I would probably do it in the reverse way, and that I would feel comfortable not putting money down DFS wise on CeeDee Lamb and taking a gamble, quote unquote. You see what I did there with somebody else.
Yep.
But for example, I have CD in one of my big money league, and my receiver options are Adam Thielen, Isaiah McKenzie, and George Pickens.
Yeah.
Had Thielen had like a better week last week, which I was kind of anticipating him to have, I'd be like, oh, this is a no-brainer. This is a squash play. Put it in Thielen for CD.
I know.
And be honest with you, I'm going to play CD, right? Because that's just how I'm going to roll with it. But watch it be Dalton Schultz.
That's my pivot, is who I think's gonna. I can't call it a pivot, but that's who I think probably does get the majority of the relief. That, and hopefully, that's another question with like Tony Pollard. And we're not on Dallas yet, but did last week's concerns in his pass protection limit his touches this week, or do they want to split him out wide? All the narrative that we thought was going to happen is, oh, you'll see Pollard out in the slot. He'll just play there primarily. We didn't get to that, but we'll cover that when we get there. Sure. This is a tricky question here. Sammy wants to know Michael Thomas or T. Higgins, half-point PPR. Before I start with you.
So,
Michael Thomas guy.
Yeah, so I am, but and I'm also a Carlton Davis guy too. And we've seen in the past where Carlton Davis, when he's lined up with Michael Thomas, has had kind of his number, say the one game out of 7 that they've played. T. Higgins, he's cleared. He's going against Dallas. Give me T. Higgins. I know he was having some injury situations or issues going on this past week, but look, you got the Jamar Chase show with Trayvon Diggs, which I think Trayvon Diggs is going to get embarrassed like he got embarrassed in week 1, which just means that there's going to be more attention focused on Jamar Chase, which means T. Higgins. This just screams a T. Higgins game. So I start Higgins over Michael Thomas this week.
Yeah.
Tyler, you in agreement?
I'm in agreement. T. Higgins had half as many receiving yards as Michael Thomas last week, played 26% of the snaps. Let's not forget all of the insane upside for T. Higgins in this Bengals offense, with Joe Burrow just throwing it nonstop. So yeah, I'm going Tiggins there. Tiggins. I like it.
Oh, he's got a nickname for him already.
That's awesome.
It's not even one of his guys. He's got
starting Tiggins this week.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, I love it.
You love some CD and Pittman. Now you have Tiggins. Oh, so cute. I am in agreement with Higgins, but I will say there's a part of me, narrative-wise, that says this is a Joe Mixon game through and through. Keep some of the pressure off Burrow. Dallas, if they don't have a tough matchup with the Cowboys, if you ask me. I think they can win it. But man, I love Joe Mixon. Like, he's my RB4 this week just because of the usage. But that being said, it doesn't take anything away, from Higgins. And so he mentions he has Mixon as well. And some teams, it's not a good idea to have the running back and the wide receiver 2 on the same team. In this week, with, like Tyler said, with the Bengals' prolific offense that could, I think they could put up 45 points. It wouldn't shock me at all. Dallas, they have some pieces, but you're right. Gator thinks it's going to be Michael Thomas, but guess what, Gator? You're not on the show, so
you're wrong. Sorry.
Yeah. No, we love Gator.
No, we love. Yeah, exactly. He probably is going to be right. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. In hindsight, and this is assuming that we're getting the Michael Thomas that we saw last week, right? Are you really in a bad spot if you're starting either?
No. God, if this is the same league, same team, he's got Cortland Sutton as well. Michael Thomas. Sorry, I'm taking the.
We're both clicking the buttons here.
I know. Yeah.
Let me throw this out there, Nate. I had to do a little fact checking. Joe Mixon, for all the times that he runs the ball, which is a lot, he only hit 100 yards rushing 3 times last year.
Mm-hmm.
In those 3 games, T. Higgins' stat lines were 4 for 58 and 1, 2 for 15 and 0, and 6 for 114 and 1. So that tells me even if it could be a Mixon game with 30 rush attempts, it can still be a T. Higgins game.
No doubt. No, and I don't disagree with that. I think that that's a very possible scenario for sure.
So Jeremiah has this question here. Do I play a stud in Kamara even though he'll be limited? Well, Kamara is going to be out.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to worry about that. In terms of do you play Dameon Pierce and Melvin Gordon? I'm watching Monday Night Football and I'm seeing, everyone's, off-season darling and Javonte Williams catching the ball and catching the ball and catching the ball. And I'm seeing Melvin Gordon running the ball. I like Melvin Gordon over Pierce this week. Do I think, and I'm not saying that Pierce is going to be one of those preseason, people that we may have jumped the gun on a little bit early. It's too early to say that. But in terms of people that I know I can count on in terms of running the ball, I count on Melvin Gordon over Pierce this week.
I agree with that. How about Tyler? Anything different?
Just adding, yes, I like Melvin Gordon over Pierce. Gordon 12 for 58 last week. He also had 2 targets, 2 receptions for 14 yards. He's going to be used. Dameon Pierce, I think it's just a matter of time for him, but I can't confidently play him until I see it. Because Lovie Smith is one of those guys that, these rookies got to earn their carries, earn their target. No, just play your better guy. And we'll get there. I just don't know if we're there yet. And Rex Burkhead's still going to get a lot of run this week.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about, the Browns receiving core or whatever you want to call that. the Jets
group of
equally is. Are we even considering any other receivers in our flex? We have another wait and see approach with Garrett Wilson as he gets acclimated. Is Corey Davis even on, the radar for you in a flex spot? Either one of you two?
No.
Okay.
There's a reason why Corey Davis, if he was at all, was your wide receiver 5 or 6 in your draft. So just keep that in mind.
Exactly. So IDP side, Jorge, we talked about Grant Delpit. I'm extremely high on JOK this week for a lot of the aforementioned talk that we had with the backfield in New York, which actually before, I guess, and I overlooked one key area is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Tyler.
Because they're auto plays.
They are, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I could see a situation where Kareem Hunt, as if you're super stacked as a flex, but you're playing those guys no matter what. So we'll jump back to the IDP. Outside of JOK, what about CJ Mosley? Top 8 linebacker this week?
I see no reason why he can't be. That's probably the nicest way of putting it. Look, this guy's a stud. You saw what he did all last season. Him and Quincy Williams last season were fantastic. And you know that with the running game going to be emphasized by the Browns this week, it's just a matter of time before these inside linebackers just get theirs.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Obviously, Myles Garrett. We don't have to touch on the guarantees.
Is Myles Garrett going to have over under 8.5 sacks?
That's I'll take the under, but I think that it's funny that there is a legitimate chance. It could be a hat trick week for him with 3 sacks, and he should be your number 1. There shouldn't be too much conversation outside of that. Maybe Carl Lawson is someone to pay attention to, and I want to see what Jordan Whitehead's status is for the game. There's been conflicting reports between him being out, him being maybe, him being better than okay. That ankle injury, missing practice. So Jordan Whitehead, I would love to have in this matchup against those Browns running game. But
just verified Jack Conklin is out again. So it'll be James Hudson and Jedrick Wills on the edges for the Browns.
Okay. Maybe if Carl Lawson's lined up opposite.
James Hudson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not Wills. Could be there. Well, let's go to Tampa, New Orleans. We've kind of touched on this, the whole Taysom Hill thing we can get to, but realistically at the quarterback spot, I don't want to go off the field, but man, Tom looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Tom doesn't look like he wants to be there right now. Is that crazy to think? Am I just seeing into that too much?
Tom looks like he's wishing that he had some of his offensive linemen in front of him. And I don't, again, we can all speculate with all the hoopla we're hearing about him and Giselle and all the potential other off the field situations going to, whatever. Let's keep it strictly to football.
Correct.
Look, I think there was like a video clip that they showed this week where he was talking to Julio Jones, where he was just saying, I don't have the arm to deliver the ball or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know whether they were joking or not on the sideline, but it's a little concerning.
Mm-hmm.
You lose Gronk. Gronk's not there. He's not there with the Bucks anymore. He's doing Barbie commercials with his girlfriend, which is good for him. He doesn't have Chris Godwin. Mike Evans wasn't doing anything all of last week until he finally caught that touchdown. It really is the Buccaneers that are really leaning on their running game, and thank God Leonard Fournette's playing for them this week, or else if he was going to be declared out, I think this Saints team would just completely roll over Tampa Bay. The only, saving grace Tampa Bay has is they have an excellent defense. So, I'm concerned if I'm Tom Brady. I'm concerned about starting him if I have him as my quarterback.
Are you, Tyler? Are you concerned with the receiving core in Tampa as much as everybody else probably is?
Not yet. Yeah. I'm going to trust Tom Brady for now.
Yeah, I mean, so Julio, game time decision. What are we doing with Julio? If he plays, how comfortable are you even in a flex spot worrying about that potential knee? We saw that, when he made that catch, that one that was so amazing, of course, he looked horrifically painful when he went down. Like he doesn't want to fall that 6'2" from an upright position or 6'4" to being on the ground anymore.
Yeah, let's remember the story of Julio's career is, he's hurt, he's banged up. Is he going to play? Yes, he's going to play. He's going to play hurt, and he's probably going to do okay because it's Julio Jones, and this has literally been the past 10 years of his life.
Yeah. I'd like to welcome in Keith Fleming. How you doing,
guys?
Keith? What's up, buddy?
Doing good.
Dave, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, dudes?
Not too much. He heard us talk about Tom Brady, and immediately he, like his Brady.
That was the cue.
It tingles. his spider tingle or Peter tingle. That's what it's called. Turned on.
It's tingles and turning on, and just a lot of phrasing going on here right now. I gotta be honest.
Well, speaking of tingles, Jeremiah has informed us that he is a Commando fan. Jeremiah, you're allowed to wear whatever you want or don't want under your clothes.
Yes,
Images I did not need to have in my head right now.
He does have a question, though. Are you guys going Drake London versus Rams or Curtis Samuel against the Lions?
I'll defer this one to the resident Falcons fan here and Keith Fleming, because we may have the same opinion here.
I actually kind of like Samuel only because I worry that London's going to be matched up a good bit with I'm sorry, why am I blanking on the Rams corner? Ramsey. Yeah, Ramsey. And I just that terrifies me. They struggled throwing the ball. If you watched last week, Mariota, all of his passes were short, and it at least appears like in Washington they're going to make an effort as long as Samuel's healthy to get him the ball in a multitude of ways. I just think it's guaranteed he gets more touches. And just, again, with Ramsey probably lining up a good bit on London, I'd probably lean towards Samuel.
It was weird a week ago in this same, I'd say, show, the conversation, I brought up the fact that people were mentioning that Curtis Samuel was going to be playing a role a la Deebo Samuel And of course, we all took it in jest and we laughed a little bit.
We did have a good laugh.
And then Curtis Samuel comes out and catches 8 of 11 targets and sees 4 rushing attempts and has a breakthrough week, I would say. I don't know if he can replicate that again, but man, Detroit does have some missing pieces. There's that game, shockingly, I think could be an over game. I mean, it's 48.5 points right now. And
I expect a lot of points.
That's crazy. If you said at the beginning of the season, the Commanders and the Lions were going to have an over under near 50 out of
the Commandos, by the way.
The Commando, yes, exactly. And is it bad that I thought Tyler thinks of Commando, no underwear? I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger Commando movie with
I was thinking that too, actually.
with Alyssa Milano as his little daughter, I think.
It's age, Nate. That was the same. It's just age because I'm the same deal.
I want to watch Commando now.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Yes. Watching Commando, going Commando at the same time. Prepare, Carrie. You're in for a hell of a day when you come downstairs. What is going on?
I can't wait to watch that tonight now.
I know. Got a good one going. Would you rather watch Commando while being Commando or start Taysom Hill over Dallas Goedert today, Keith or David?
I would much rather start Goddard. I mean, it was great, what we saw last week from Hill, but I got to think that, defenses are going to figure out, what he does when he's in the game. And until I see like some consistent pass catching, I just don't know how I can trust. I know Kamara's banged up and that makes it a little bit more interesting. Maybe they run him more, but Goddard, he saw targets in week 1. We saw the Eagles offense is going to be frisky, and I like him. He's a big play machine too. He can score a touchdown at any time, and I always look for upside usually when deciding in tight ends.
That 54-yard run really overinflated his numbers too. So you take that away. I mean, I hate saying it, but without that 54-yard run, are we talking about Taysom Hill? Probably not.
And it was against my Falcons, so I mean, it's not like it was that impressive.
You're 1-0 Falcons?
0-1. They should have been 1-0.
Oh, dang it. They're on their way to 5, though. Be careful.
I know. 6.
Oh, yes, 5.5. That's right. I forgot. Jorge,
Sure.
The New Orleans receiving group, the room as a whole, we talked about Michael Thomas earlier, 8 targets last week. Jarvis Landry led the team with 9. And Chris Olave pitched in 3, caught all 3 for 41. Michael Thomas's 2 touchdowns obviously elevated him to the number 1 status on that team. But you think it's going to be a week-to-week approach, or do you think it is Michael Thomas and then ancillary to Landry Olave down the line?
I can't recall off the top of my head his yardage totals from last week. All I know is going off of the notifications I was getting on my phone. Oh, he's in the red zone touchdown.
57.
Yeah, see, that's a big issue for me in terms of what I'm expecting from Michael Thomas. I think you're going to see him be at least to start off the season until he gets his quote unquote legs underneath him. Mm-hmm. I see him being more of a touchdown upside person this week, and I think the yardage you're going to see going to Olave and to Landry versus Thomas, at least to start. Because let's remember, Michael Thomas, when he was the wide receiver 1 in all of fantasy football, 3 years ago is it now? The yardage totals were there, the targets were there, the touchdowns were there. Why? Because they needed to be there, because they didn't have anyone else.
Yeah, sure.
They literally had no one else to throw the ball to. And now this is not the case. Now they brought in some people who are there to get yards after the catch, and Olave, the rookie out of Ohio State. So he's actually in a really good spot for him as a player to get himself, back into rhythm that he missed the past couple seasons. And I'm sure you're going to see the yardage totals increase and the target totals increase as the season goes on. But for this week, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah. I still think that both of them are probably in play in most flex situations. But we have a flex situation question. Dame wants to know, in a non-PPR, that is a standard league for those listening that have never played in one, you do not get points for a reception. That was back in our day when we were watching Commando. That's what we used to do. Do you start Josh Jacobs, Jeff Wilson, or Devin Singletary? Dave, I know it's not single carry. Suck it with his week 1 production, by the way, Dave. You're going to have to worry about me and Tyler beating the drum on Singletary. But Dave, I'll let you take a first stab at that. Non-PPR. Josh Jacobs, Jeff Wilson, Devin Singletary.
I'm going with Josh Jacobs. He proved last week he's still the workhorse running back there. You guys know how I feel about Devin Singletary. I think he's going to get overtaken by James Cook later this year. What game that happens, I don't know, but I'm just not risking it with Singletary. Very game script dependent as well. The Bills, I don't know, they're obviously looking great, but they seem to fold against some bad teams. So I don't know. I'm just not risking it with Singletary. Go with Jacobs.
Tyler?
You know what you get there. You get 15 to 20 touches.
Is anybody leaning the Jeff Wilson side or Devin Singletary side?
I'm Singletary.
Okay.
I'm Wilson.
Tyler, what are you?
I'm Jacob's side because he is the running back on that team, and it is the highest over-under of the week. And I expect a decent amount of scoring in that game. So give me Jacobs.
And Keith, I'll let you give us the Jeff Wilson approach.
I love the starting Niners back in any Shanahan offense. I mean, I think Trey Lance is going to be able to run, throw a little better today, and we're going to see more of actually what the Niners offense is. And if it's true that Wilson is going to, even get 55, 60% of the snaps, I think there's value there and good chance he scores a touchdown.
So the ancillary question from that would be, and this can be for anyone, with Shanahan, as much as we love his backs, and he does typically will feed the one guy. He has a couple new shiny toys. Does he even feature Mason or Tyrion?
I don't think so, only because of what happened last week where, one was did not play, the other didn't get any touches. I think they're going to get some carries, but unless Wilson's just atrocious early, I don't see them getting a high pitch count.
Yeah, and I could see the same thing there. What next question? I love this, by the way. We got a lot of start-sit questions. This is great. Mm-hmm. Another Drake London questions. Drake London seems to be the popular flex dilemma. Or Chase Claypool. Anybody have any? I'd say
it's got to be London, right? I mean, he had 8 or 9 targets last week.
He had 7.
Wide receiver 1 there, or 7. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, Cole Pitts is obviously there, but there's really no one other than London or Pitts. Yeah, you know what you're getting in London. You're getting 7 to 9 targets.
He didn't have Mitch Trubisky throwing him passes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. And Tyler, Jorge, either you guys leaning on Chase Claypool's side?
No, there's too many mouths to feed in that receiving game with limited quarterback, passing volume.
Yeah,
give me Drake London.
Yeah, my answer is still London, but I will say Claypool played 92% of the snaps. He's the clear wide receiver 2 in that offense. Pickens isn't there yet. He'll get there, but he isn't there yet. Trubisky he doesn't have any time to throw the ball. Claypool's running all these short routes. He's probably going to get a couple rushing attempts. Oh, geez, he had 6 rushing attempts last week. He's going to be involved, but I'd still take London for a bit of a ceiling play because I don't think Claypool is much of a ceiling.
Yeah.
A lot more points, too, in that Falcons-Rams game. I mean, good chance Rams are up big. Falcons are throwing a lot in the second half. I don't see a lot of points in the Patriots-Steelers game.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Efficiency from the Steelers to be able to move the chains is lacking at best. I'm not too high on
16 first downs last week. Yikes.
Ooh, not good.
Yeah, a question on Facebook from Nick. He's asking, start 2, London, Lamb, Robinson, Samuel. Man, that's a good one. You know what? For me, it would be London and Robinson. I know, look, Robinson had the atrocious week 1. Everybody, I get it. But it can only go up from here, okay? And he still has Matt. Well, we knock on wood, we hope, right? And Matt Stafford's still throwing the ball. CeeDee Lamb. We were talking about this earlier. For Dallas, if there's a receiving option I trust on the Dallas team right now, it's Dalton Schultz, not CeeDee Lamb, with Cooper Rush throwing the ball. And Curtis Samuel, I still need to see it. I need to see it again. Like we talked about this earlier with Jeremiah came on and was asking the question about who should he start. Gadget player. And until I see more and I see it more consistently, then I can call him a wide receiver, be somebody I'm confident starting this week. But for me, Robinson and then London.
Can I say something about Lamb? Because, when Rush played one game last year, Lamb had 7 receptions, over 100 yards. I think it was 10 targets. Schultz only saw 3 targets in that game for 2 receptions. He threw predominantly to the receivers. Not saying that's going to happen again this year, but there is at least a 1-game sample size where both Lamb and I believe the number 2 receiver was not Gallup but Wilson last year, but he threw most of his targets to wide receivers.
Yeah, good reminder, Keith, of let's not go too far on burying CD.
Well, look, that was against a hapless Minnesota Vikings team on Sunday Night Football. This is, I really don't think that the Bengals are going to give Cooper Rush enough time to throw the ball downfield to a CeeDee Lamb, just because of that pass rush being so ferocious and that Dallas front not. And I just see them being more of a short passing situation, a fast passing situation, which is why I'm thinking you're going to see the shorter passes to the tight end. That's just my take, though.
See, I'm going with the combo of the British chops, the London lamb. That's what I want there. I love London. I mean, I've already spoke about him. He's going to get the targets. Lamb is still the wide receiver 1 there. I mean, I get it. We've got Cooper Rush under center, but he's going to be looking for his number 1 guy. He's sure to get some targets. Lamb can run every route. He can go a post. He can do an under route. I love the. I guess what you get out of potential for Lamb anyway. He's good for a red zone look too, I think.
Yeah, the one thing I want to know about Allen Robinson, and I don't know if we'll actually find this out, is are they going to move A.J. Terrell around? And because I don't think they're going to put him obviously in more of the slot work to try to slow.
He's going to be on Robinson most of the game. Me and Joe talked about it on DFS show, and that's why this week I don't think is a good indication of is Robinson really in danger, because he's probably going to have another bad game.
That's my major concern. It really is. And with and like I said, I really like to pivot and look at those games if I'm going to choose 2 in the high scoring games. And shockingly, that's the Washington, Detroit, and the Curtis Samuel. But I agree with Jorge in that you hate to try to go gadgety for a person who's consistently been banged up. So I would probably go CD and Curtis Samuel, but that didn't help Nick at all. So now he's only even more confused, and he gets to good luck. It's CeeDee Lamb, and then good luck. But
we gave you 50% of an answer.
Go with your horses, though, right? Like early in the season, to me, you drafted CeeDee Lamb that high. He's the only one of those 4 that you drafted early. You've got to go with your guys. Don't overthink early until you see otherwise.
I partially agree with that. I think it's one of those things where you have no choice but to go with CD because you were so confident in him that you probably punted wide receiver for other positions, and now you don't have a truly viable wide receiver 1 versus just having.
Wouldn't you be more frustrated, Jorge, if say Lamb you don't start and he goes crazy, you're going to be even more frustrated to where with one of those other guys you could easily come up with a reason why you didn't start him to where again the draft capital, a lot of targets, etc.
If I lose my week by starting CD Lamb, I can live with that, right?
Exactly.
If I lose it by randomly throwing in Robinson or Samuel and hoping for a prayer, that I would be pissed off with.
See, I disagree. I think you are hoping for a prayer with CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Rush. So you're already having your expectations low to begin with. So in any of these situations, it's going to be a pleasant surprise.
I'm going Lamb and Robinson.
Well,
back to what Nick said. Sorry, Nick. Or what Nate said. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. Here Riley has another one with that to me is, God, they're so close. You got how many are we start 3? So Debo, Mike Thomas, Amon-Ra, T. Higgins. Who are you sitting?
Go from there.
So who are you sitting?
I'm sitting Michael Thomas, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm going to play Amon-Ra and what should be, which we just mentioned, should be a high-scoring game. And we've already talked about playing T. Higgins over Michael Thomas. So I'm going to – and Debo's an absolute must-start regardless of weather or whatever other factors. So I will sit Michael Thomas.
I think Amon-Ra is a must-start. He's had 10 targets and I think it's 8 straight games. I was a little worried about what his target share would be with Hawkinson and Swift coming back, but he still got, double-digit targets last week. As long as Higgins is cleared, I agree that I would sit Thomas and start the other 3 because I don't think you can sit Debo or Amon-Ra right now, and Higgins and Thomas with 2 we had some questions about. Thomas, he had a good game last week, but it was, by the 2 touchdowns. I like the quarterback play better with Higgins. And I just think they're going to try to get him involved.
Yeah, it's mine's Thomas as well. My rankings have, Debo, T, Amon-Ra, and then Michael Thomas. If there's a positive also is that, hey, that's a hell of a 4 to have to get to choose each week.
Yeah, great draft.
Exactly. Earlier we were talking about George Pickens not being there yet, but you drafted him to not knowingly not be there yet. Do you cut bait already for Julio, hoping for, honestly, a little, I'd say, ceiling play? Or where do you guys going? Are you dropping Pickens this early?
Do you remember the movie with
Commando?
Will Smith? Yeah.
Wild Wild West.
No, the movie with Will
Aladdin.
Smith. No, where he's the dating advice guy.
Yes, yeah.
And he's teaching the guy how to dance, and the guy's like, no, don't worry, I got this. And the guy does his whole dance, and Will Smith's like, psh, psh, get out. Riley, if you drop George Pickens or Julio Jones, psh, get out.
Yeah, it's not worth. I know Pickens probably won't produce this week. It's not worth dropping that potential ceiling just for a week, just for a 1 week floor play in Julio.
Is this a dynasty league though? Because I would rather have Julio with Brady for the rest of this season than Pickens with either a rookie quarterback or Trubisky. And I'm high on George Pickens, but I just think it's more likely Julio produces this season with Brady and Godwin being hurt than it is Pickens and that Steelers offense, personally.
I think how many weeks are we going to be talking where when we talk about New Orleans that we mention Julio's injury and missed practice and limited practice, and will he play? Will he be on a pitch count? Will he have to fight through? And I don't know if I want to deal with that. I realize the floor or the ceiling play could be big with Brady, and you're right. Maybe it's dynasty. If it's dynasty, I don't think it's
right. Yeah,
of course that.
Yeah,
maybe Riley will jump back in and answer, but consensus wise, I think we're the majority are saying hold on to Pickens for now. But Keith, I understand your scenario there. What we got next, Jorge?
We got Dame over on Facebook. In PPR, I have Gabe Davis as my wide receiver 2, but as a flex this week. Not sure of his situation. Won't be playing until Monday. The potential for risk. So I have Tony Pollard, Hayden Hurst, or Tyler Algier. Who do I start? So Davis, Pollard, Hurst, or Algier.
We were talking about this before we went on live, Tyler and I, with Gabe Davis, and how do you go about that? And we didn't have options that we're going to play on Sunday, comparatively speaking, and so now we do. Tyler, we mentioned some names beforehand that we're going to be on, say, Monday night, but Are you starting Tony Pollard, Hayden Hurst, or Tyler Algier over the risk of Gabe Davis, knowing, and this would be the caveat that I don't know this answer to, guys, but is there a droppable person on this roster where if he decides to wait for Davis and he doesn't play, he could pivot to maybe Isaiah McKenzie was what I was going to say potentially.
So I wouldn't play any of those guys. You need to wait to see if Gabe Davis plays. He's too good. The ceiling's too high. You need to wait. And all of those guys, the ceiling is too low. Algier is probably your droppable guy.
Yeah, he was a do not shoot up guy last week, which shocked me.
So if you're, let's say McKenzie is rostered in your league, which he very well could be, your options, your low tier options are basically Kyle Phillips or KJ Osborne, a guy like that.
I like Kyle Phillips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think Kyle Phillips and KJ Osborne have similar production profiles this week compared to those three that he listed in Pollard, Hurst, and Algier. I'm waiting on Gabe Davis. And I guess hoping that your league lets you drop people after they've already played, or you can just drop Tyler Algier right now.
Yep. That's a very good point. Because I'm like what Keith said, if Isaiah McKenzie is still available, I'd probably drop Algier today, pick him up, and have him and wait. Because Davis
feel good too, right?
I would feel much better.
Yeah,
much better.
Oh my God, McKenzie without Davis, yeah, I'd feel really good about that.
Yeah. All right.
We got another question got from Dame. Eagles defense this week or the Steelers?
Man, even without TJ Watt, I still think that Steelers defense is just going to bottle up. Mac Jones' back's already banged up. I don't see them really being able to, to run significantly on him, even if they try to do so. I would lean the Steelers just because, no offense to the Eagles. And I think the Eagles have one of the more polarizing front four and linebacking depth, but they just gave up 35 to Detroit. I'm not knocking Detroit, but still Detroit starting just a little bit. 35 is a lot to give up. So I'm going to lean Steelers. Good. Jorge, you, Tyler, or Dave, any difference?
Nope. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
But Justin Jefferson is going to terrorize the Eagle secondary.
I think so too.
All right, we got a Brian Ford here on YouTube. Start one for Scott Fishbowl, Noah Brown, Garrett Wilson, Cole Kmet, or Ryan Suckup.
It is.
Nate, didn't I see in one of our leagues that we're together, you picked up Ryan Suckup recently?
I had to pick up Suckup. I didn't have a kicker because I had our favorite kicker, old Frames himself, was released.
What's up with that, by the way? What's up with Blankenship being released from Indianapolis?
He missed too many big-time kicks, and he when we were – actually, it's funny. When we were at training camp, he missed 2 or 3 from, 35, and I saw him get his ass chewed out, and then he popped, 5 from 50 in a row, and I'm like, oh, well, that's an easy way to get back in, assuming it was 50. It's kind of hard to tell. But, all right, so Scott Fish, Brian – oh, man. Brian, hope you're doing well in your league. He's in the Fish division, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Noah Brown, Garrett Wilson, Cole Kmet. So I'm going to say this. I think personally, I'm giving Cole Kmet a second chance. I don't think last week was a true idea, but man, it's hard to not say, everybody was playing in the weather. Some other people still got targets, but that's mine. Keith, you were in agreement. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah.
I've got to ask, rank the ceilings here. Who has the highest ceiling?
I'd argue Kmet with Flacco.
I'd say probably Kmet.
I go with Kmet too.
I'm going the kicker. Screw it.
Brian says he is in the Simpsons Springfield division. Fish was last year. Yes.
Oh, that's right. But hey, if anything, that just shows how much I care and I pay attention to my friends. I remember last year. Exactly.
Well, you remembered, so that's saying something.
I remember. The Simpsons is a great one to be in. All right, Austin, welcome back, my friend. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Indy defense right now, considering the Browns, Tyler, versus the Jets, the Patriots versus the Steelers, what would you think the best defensive play this week out of the 3 would be? Who wants to take a stab at a defense question?
I was going to say, I think it's Cleveland for sure out of this week. You get the Jets. Indy, gave up a lot of yardage to the Texans, who I don't think are going to be great on offense week in and week out. And if you're looking for a season long, the Browns, I know they play the Ravens and the Bengals, but they don't have a brutal schedule. They have the 3rd place schedule in their division. I think that that's the play for this week and potentially those 3 defense going forward.
I'm right there with you, man. Browns are going to get sacks. They're probably going to get some interceptions this week. I'm going Browns.
Yep, agreed.
Lowest over under the week too, 39.5.
Exactly.
See, I'll go Patriots here.
Pat Steelers. Wow.
Oh, hold on, Dave.
Why Patriots, Dave?
Well, it's Bill Belichick. He's just known for being a defensive mind. So you're always good for Belichick, especially after a loss. After a loss, he's going to come in hungry. I think the defense is going to show up today.
He does kill bad quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Steelers. Come on.
Yeah. No, I get that. But yeah, like Keith said, also the Browns do have a good schedule this year. That's why they were probably one of my heavy targets by picking defenses. Is they start off smooth, then get too bumpy, and goes from there. Going back to some of the games, obviously we
okay, sorry, can we just do one more? We just have one more waiting for us. Calvo or on YouTube, Jamal Williams or Kenyon Drake this week?
All right, man, if I knew Swift was going to be limited, I think he is limited in terms of he has the injury right now. If he, man, if there's any chance he is rested enough, like, problem is I don't know if they will. I really think it's still going to be Swift's game, and they're going to have to keep pace with Washington. Oh man.
Can we talk about like the report that came out? I can't stand these that he may be on a pitch count. Like, he's a guy that's already, seeing like 60% of the snaps. Some of those reports that come out, they just it's almost like they're trying to make it more confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really reporting anything? He might be on a pitch count.
Can they come up with a better term than pitch count? Because that's
right.
That's a baseball.
Exactly.
Term.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Snap count. How's that sound?
I would lean.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I like that.
Thanks.
I was a little bit too excited for that response. But yeah,
I
was like, okay, good job.
What are we doing though? We taking?
I would go
Williams.
Williams. He had more opportunities than Kenyon Drake last week. Sorry, as a RB2.
Right.
He's good for goal line
carries too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The big thing. Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
He did. That was very, very frustrating. Thanks, Calvo.
For Swift owners. Yep.
Oh yeah, and I am one of them. So
I am too.
I have plenty of start-sit dilemmas this week that I won't inundate you guys with. But we were last talking about the Tampa-New Orleans game.
Right.
Really, I think we've addressed for the most part everything on the offensive side. Obviously, Jorge has circled around the Taysom Hill jokingly, of course. But on the defensive side, for me, I think that Marcus Davenport is a phenomenal play. I think that Cam Jordan is a really good play because this Tampa front line, regardless of the ability of Tom Brady to get rid of the ball fast and to not take too many sacks, I think they're lacking. I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, especially whenever he's getting reacclimated with so many moving pieces on the offensive line. Are you pushing up Davenport and Cam Jordan like I am?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pushing Cam Jordan. Right. Davenport, Cam Jordan. Excuse me, Marcus Davenport. I'm not so sure on. I don't think both sides of this offensive line are completely atrocious, but I'll give when benefit of the doubt, I'll give it to the Cam Jordan over Davenport. But Davenport, there's upside there, obviously. But for me, if I had to choose one, I'd push up Cameron Jordan.
Gotcha. And that's fair. And I think that one side possibly could. I see Jordan lined up against Tristan Wirfs more times than not. And I think that's the scary side for me. But it's Cam Jordan, man. He, just weekly undervalued, yearly underappreciated after, what is he in his 11th year in the league or something like that? Probably. I don't even know. I should probably have that before I start spouting out random nonsense like
just
that.
Say he's a veteran.
Yeah, damn it. Rewind this. Cut. Can we do this again?
Let's edit that.
Yeah,
can
exactly.
I get my DFS play for this guy?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Jarvis Landry at 5,000. I loved what I saw last week with Winston, particularly in DraftKings where it's PPR. Landry's been a top 36 receiver every year he's been in the league in PPR. $5,000 to see, he saw 9 targets last week. I really like Landry, not only this week, but moving forward until they, up his price. Like Thomas is considerably more expensive, and I actually like Landry more on a week-to-week basis.
Nice. So Carolina, New York Jets, Baker
Giants.
Mayfield. Yeah. That's what I'm leaning to as well.
No, you said
what I say?
You said Jets, not Giants.
Oh, sorry. So I thought you were taking a pick already. I was just say, ooh, the underdog, but I actually like that. Carolina's -1, but do we think the Giants actually can? I think they can cover and they can win this outright.
Yep.
Myself, they lack a little bit on the defensive side with some losses, from the ends being out. But I don't worry too much about, I'm not starting Daniel Jones or Baker and anything other than maybe a super flex. But I do have a question about the Giants receiving core. And Dave, number one, is there a number one?
No, I dropped Kenny Golladay in a bunch of leagues, to be honest. Tony Golladay, you've got Sterling Shepard there. There's really no clear-cut wide receiver one there.
Wasn't Shepard the number one last week in terms of targets?
Yeah.
Technically, yes. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, are you trusting Shepard going forward?
Hell no, of course not. Yeah.
No, technically it was Richie James was number 1 in
Wow.
targets with 6.
Was he really? Wow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, was it last year? He had a huge game with who under center? 49ers, the old
Not
49ers.
from the other guy. Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Damn it.
Oh, this bugged me. You guys remember? No?
I did.
It'll come to me later.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you. Exactly. I'm getting there. Was it Mike Glennon or yeah, probably Mike
Glennon.
Yeah.
No.
The immortal Glennon.
Yeah, that's ugly. But
it was somebody.
The Giants' offense outside of Saquon is pretty ugly. I mean, realistically, is there a player on the Giants that, from a flex spot, that you are even contemplating putting in? Keith, is there anybody? I mean, is one of your DFS?
I mean, Shepard is somebody that I would consider, again, because it's PPR. Depending on his price. But no, I don't want to roster any. I mean, I was big on Tony coming into the season. I was big on him last week. I expected him to be heavily involved, and not only was he not, he got hurt. So you got Tony missing. Wandale Robinson's the other guy that I'm really intrigued with. And again, he got hurt. Yeah. So no, there's really not. Just to answer Brian's question right there, no, absolutely. Dolan, same deal for Pierre Campbell. Brian has a history of making receivers that you've never heard of relevant week to week. Who had heard of Zacchaeus before last year, Gabriel Davis in 2016. So I would absolutely not be afraid to take some flyers on the Colts starting receivers today.
Jorge, you'll be happy to know then that we have Ashton Dulin starting in our Auction Kings Classic League. Picked him up. So that would be a play. Keith, let me ask you that. I had the choice of starting between the two. We had to sit one because there was injury, but picked up Ashton Dulin. So would you have started Dulin or Kyle Phillips?
I'd start Dulin. I like Phillips a lot, but he did all that damage on a 39% snap count. So he was not involved a lot. I mean, I would think he would be more involved this week. Mm-hmm. And also my co-host is a huge Giants fan. Their number 2 corner is trash. It's why Robbie Anderson is his absolute favorite play this week. He's convinced me into the same thing. They've got one good corner. He's going to shadow more. The other Panthers receivers are a very good option this week. So I would go with Dulin just because I trust Matt Ryan more too.
Got a question from Dave.
Who's that?
Ibrahim. He says, "Hey guys, first time, long time. Love that Dave guy. He's very good into very well.
He gets his motor running.
Really gets my motor running.
He ignores the space bar.
Look at all these Commanders film. Oh, Commando film. Okay, I thought it was a Commanders fan. I was like, golly. Watching out this fan base.
Jorge, you should start screening these comments.
I know. What was that? Grammatical errors will count against you, folks.
This guy's really inappropriate, whoever he is.
It's okay, but so here's the thing. I will start off because I like Paris Campbell with 2 R's instead of Paris Campbell with 1 R. That just double the potential upside.
That may have been autocorrect. I mean, I can't speak for this Dave guy, but
exactly. I love anybody that's in California drinking. I'm hoping that's beer at about 7:30 in the morning.
I love it.
It's Topo Chico or whatever it's called.
It's what? What is that? What is that? Is that water?
Water.
Water.
It's a fancy water.
Oh.
And like we said earlier, no risk it, no biscuit. Paris Campbell or Gabe Davis. Man, I mean that's a tough one because I want to wait and see on Gabe Davis. I mean, I really trust the upside of Davis. Even
but you wait and see on Gabe Davis.
I like Campbell because I think he's going to be a number 1 receiver today, and you're going to get points. Unless there's a report that comes out that it's like 99% Davis is going to play. I hate risking that because then you're scrambling and you could be down. And
let's not forget the relationship that Ryan and Campbell had in the preseason. It's not something to be ignored.
And I love Paris Campbell. He was my bold take last year that I figured he was going to be a wide receiver 3 because his per touch and per snap totals dare I say, elite when you look at that. Just problem is that's a hard way to go because he doesn't get many of those. So, David, that's our answer. Go with Paris Campbell. Good luck, my friend. I hope you do well. Mandela does full point PPR. Amon-Ra, Cam Sutton, Michael Thomas,
Cortland Sutton.
2. What'd I say?
Cam Sutton. It's the love child of Cam Newton and Cortland Sutton.
No, it's the cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm telling you, man, doing this IDP. Last year it was Fabian and Foster Moreau. Now it's Cortland Sutton, Cam Sutton. I need to just take a break from covering 750 players in the NFL from now and condense that down to 350 and get the names right. Boy, V.
Just do daily fantasy. It's a lot easier.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm benching Sutton. I'm taking Amon-Ra and Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas showed that he's still a great player. I mean, look, he got his 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, I believe. I think. Don't get me wrong, but he's still a target for Jameis. Amon-Ra, he's the number 1 clear-cut guy there. Cortland Sutton, we just don't know what we have with Russell Wilson yet in Denver. I'm not sold. I don't know. I'm just not risking it with Sutton. The safer plays are Amon-Ra and Thomas.
Here's the thing. Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, I don't think I don't think the fact that it's a PPR is going to help you per se with Michael Thomas. I still think the targets are going to be spread around a lot in New Orleans, so you're not getting that dominant target percentage that you were getting with him years ago. And in terms of Amon-Ra versus Sutton, I like the upside and what Vegas is projecting this to be a high scoring game. When things came down to the wire last week, Goff went to St. Brown. I mean, it's Sunday, trust God. Amon-Ra, he's a God, and go with him and then go with Michael Thomas.
Really? Is that where the name comes from?
Amon-Ra is sun god, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That is correct.
I agree.
Equanimous. I need to find out. I'm serious. Isn't that?
Because that's an answer I have floating in, which it normally would be, to be honest with you, but not this one. I'm sorry, Keith. What were you saying?
No, I agree about the safest pick would be Amon-Ra and Thomas, but I would go Amon-Ra and Sutton. I liked what I saw out of Sutton last week. 4 catches, 74 yards. Wilson historically is so good deep down the field. We know that Sutton has a great history in the red zone. And I just think that out of those 3 guys, the guy that's most likely to do the most damage, seeing 4 or 5 receptions without Sutton, and the Texans, secondary didn't look great against Indy last week when Michael Thomas absolutely destroyed them. Sutton is a similar physical, big, fast wide receiver. So I would lean towards Sutton Amon-Ra. But, I mean, again, it's one of those deals where you don't have a bad, decision anyway. It's a good decision to be making.
Yeah. Right. So my question with Cortland Sutton too, and I would go Sutton and Amon-Ra as well. Do you think that Nathaniel Hackett, after watching the back-to-back fumbles at the goal line from his running backs, might just say, "Hey, Russ, we're going to trust you to throw the ball," and actually just don't throw it. A la the Super Bowl, don't do something.
I was about to say. I knew you had to say it. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll never live that down, eh? People will be talking about that play for the next 30 years. That's
especially because it was Marshawn Lynch. I mean, it's like, is there any guy you'd rather
marching down the field?
Yeah.
Which his commercial, by the way, was the best one. Is when he's like, "Just throw it." He's like, "I'll just throw it." He's like, "No, I'll carry it." He's like, "No." But all right. As my wide receiver,
on the league. Did you guys see that on the league when Marshawn Lynch was on?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what it was. It wasn't a commercial.
Yeah, chilling on the beach.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I'm going to walk that in. I love it.
We got another question on YouTube from Macau J37. Pardon me for butchering the pronunciation.
Thank
you. There you go. As my wide receiver 2, do I do CD, Rashad Bateman, or Devonta Smith? JJ is my number 1.
So I'm benching Justin Jefferson for sure. The question is,
no, he's keeping Justin. He's pairing. Yeah. So who's he pairing?
He's not asking about Jefferson.
I'm going CD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah.
I love the target share of CD. I mean, Devontae Smith gave us a golden goose last week, and I think we can expect that inconsistency from Jalen Hurts. It's like trusting Lamar Jackson for consistency outside of Mark Andrews. Not going to happen.
And I do like Bateman a lot.
I think he's going to be consistent this year, Bateman, because he's a receiver that runs a lot of routes that, Lamar loves throwing over the middle. Bateman can do that. And I like what they're doing in Baltimore. I mean, for him to score 21 points tomorrow in week 1 and have 17 rushing yards, it makes me very high on him and the Ravens offense moving forward. I know it was against the Jets, but they're going to be able to run it once Dobbins gets back. And I like, a lot of Bateman this year. Lamb's going to get double-digit targets probably this week.
Devin Duvernay might be a sneaky wait and see. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
This is Brian Ford dropping some knowledge your way, David. He's like, come on, man. These are your people. An ancient Egyptian sun god. Another brother named Osiris played at Stanford. And apparently Equinemius just lost out on a god name, apparently. So
it means calm and composed or something.
You're the man, Brian. I love it.
Calm and composed is what Equinemius means.
Is it really? Well, you know what? Hey, how about that?
That's the opposite of me.
Nathan means gift from God, in case you guys were wondering what Nathan means.
Do not Urban Dictionary Jorge, by the way. Or
just don't ask his wife.
Don't, yeah.
And I love the backdrop, by the way. When'd you do that?
Who, me?
Yeah, that backdrop.
It's just my.
When you're top 5, you get a bigger budget for your backdrop than the rest of us guys.
So funny, I actually came home from work one day, like 2 weeks ago, and our basement is set up where my office here was there on the front and everything was switched around. This back room had had the sofa and the TV and the recliner and everything down here. And I came home and everything was switched. She didn't tell me she was doing it. And I love it because I had all that stuff. I just moved it and it looks good. So Carrie, if you're watching, thank you again. Looks great. Dave, thanks for the compliment. And let's move on to the next game. Or is there anything else? Carolina, New York. That's where we're at. I do have a question. DJ Moore I read somewhere on Twitter, and it was obviously, the concern with DJ Moore is you drafted him to be your wide receiver 2, and he doesn't put up wide receiver 1 numbers. Why would you draft him as your wide receiver 2? Which I thought the statement there was inherently wrong anyway. But
what?
do we see DJ Moore, the same DJ Moore every time, or is this matchup one where against the Giants? I mean, you're starting.
Stay away.
You're staying away from. Okay.
I mean, if you have other options, now granted, again, like if you're taking scraps from your bench, that's different. But if you have another, wide receiver 2, 3 guy, the Giants have one really good corner, and he shadows, and I absolutely think he's going to be on more. I love Robbie Anderson. He's my favorite DFS play from this game. And let's wait and see. I just think, Moore has a history of having big games and then not so big games. To me, it's a really risky play.
See,
this week.
They always say,
go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
Okay. I was just going to say, they always say, when it's like week 10, 11, you need to forget about your draft capital, what you paid for someone, right? I personally believe that ends as soon as you put the last sticker on the board. When that draft ends, you need to forget about draft capital. Like Cam Akers. Okay, you draft him in the 3rd round. Mistake.
Right.
I personally don't think he gives those numbers. You can't keep thinking, well, I've got to start him. I drafted him in the 3rd round, right? You got to bench him. If you have
how real GMs get fired, right?
But in all honesty, you got to forget about that. DJ Moore, I don't like it. I mean, look, you probably draft him as your wide receiver 2. He's not. We don't know. Is it going to be Robbie Anderson? Who knows? You need to forget about draft capital and put the guy that's putting up points. Simple as that. Would I play Curtis Samuel over him? Yep, absolutely.
So the question I have then is, what are we basing his production on? Where he's finished every year, which is as a wide receiver 2. He's been, exactly where you drafted him as.
I'm not saying sell him for a season. I'm just saying for this week, I don't like him because of the matchup.
Again, now, no offense here, but Adoree Jackson, that's the concern, is Adoree Jackson?
Yeah.
Come on, Adoree Jackson's not
but
what
when
Adoree
you look,
Jackson was.
My point is, look at the other 2. Look at the other two corners and what they did last week. Cal Phillips, a 5th-round rookie on 39% snaps, had 6 catches for 60 yards. They're going to – I would assume the coaching staff is going to attack that with somebody like Robbie Anderson if a rookie was able to do that. And it's just that's where they're going to try to attack the secondary.
I don't know. I only look at one thing separately than last week as well, too, is without anybody on the edge even creating pressure whatsoever, I don't see a push. I see a push maybe up the middle, potentially with Leonard Williams, but you have no outside rush. And what that does is that gives DJ more time to do what he does best, which is complete the route and beat coverage and earn the trust and do stuff after the run, which I think is a possibility. And in dog terms, what Pup said is start DJ Moore.
He's fired up. He agrees with you, man.
Exactly.
Nicodemus is on board the DJ Moore train.
He is.
That is 8 for 88 and a touchdown. That's all right. No, but it's fair. DJ Moore is a very cringeworthy wide receiver 2 for a lot of people because you don't see the super spike games. I get it. But Dave, as we learned, you keep mentioning Robbie Anderson's name, and Robbie Anderson will do what he's always done, which is disappoint you and make you as close to Commando as possible.
He had one really good year for the Jets.
Neat. One really good year. I'm kidding.
Yeah, isn't there like a bet? We don't have to bring up the details of said bet, but wasn't there a bet like 2 seasons ago between Nate and Dave about DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, and wasn't a song involved in the winner? Yeah,
certain. I'm like,
hey, you buy me a Chiefs song. I'm going to be in Kansas City in a few weeks as well, right?
I know.
I'll wear that thing to the game, all right?
I don't get how I win a bet and I have to pay for stuff. Betting parameters are super screwed up. You buy me anything. Either way, all right, so Austin has a question. All right, start 1 at your flex. DK, James Robinson, Robbie Anderson, Paris Campbell, Curtis Samuel,
J-Rob.
See, I think this comes down to what you need, right? Is your lineup that stacked that you're looking for safety? I mean, if that's safety, I'm going with James Robinson. If you need I'm going to be struggling, I need DK Metcalf. I don't know, I'll go DK Metcalf. If I'm looking for high risk, I'm Metcalf. If I'm looking for stability, I'm looking at J-Rob.
Okay. I'm going James Robinson all the way. Like, look, the fact that he had almost 0 limitations in the preseason is something in and of itself. Coming off an Achilles injury late in last season, the fact that he came out last week and performed as well as he did, like I'm not doubting good players, who perform for you. Shocker, right? But give me James Robinson. Until he lets me down. Okay, he let us all down last year, but it wasn't him that let us down per se. It was the coaching staff that then put him in position. Whenever he's been given the opportunity and given the volume, the guy has not let you down his entire NFL career. I'm not going to start doubting him now until he shows me that there's a reason I should take him out of my lineup. He stays in there for me.
Did he let you down? I mean, the guy was giving you pretty much 60 yards and a touchdown most weeks.
Last year, the usage was barely there just because, Urban Meyer was not, giving him the volume and touches.
Shocker. Urban Meyer make a bad coaching decision.
Well, so Travis Etienne last week, swatted that pass away like he was playing volleyball, right? Yeah. Now, are we scared about? Let's talk about the draft capital thing, right? What are you doing with the Etienne? Are you just holding on to him because you paid?
Oh, I love him.
I don't think. Why can't they both have success?
I just can't see Etienne being that valuable if J-Rob keeps doing what he's doing.
He had 4 carries for 40 yards. He would have had 15, 16 points with a touchdown. I mean, he
dropped a touchdown. He had it in the end zone.
I mean, I get that, but I'm saying that Deandre Smith fumbled a ball on the 1-yard line his first game of his career, and people were saying the same thing, and then he went on to be Deandre Swift. I'm just saying this dude's too good, and he was. I mean, like his dominator number, his yards per touch, all that was really high week 1. I agree that touch is a concern, but I'm definitely not like jumping ship. Like if I drafted him, I think he's going to be valuable for sure.
Yeah. Colby joins us. Colby, how we doing, buddy?
Good to have you on the show, Colby. Come on, man.
Yeah, just jump on in. Then we'll ask you this question. You can tell us because I'm been so intrigued with Nico Collins, and I know we talked a lot about Nico at the expo, and he does most likely will have Pat Surtain shadowing Cooks.
Do you want to shoot Colby the link?
Huh?
Okay. Do you want to shoot Colby?
I will send him the link right now.
Okay, well then we can. But so the one thing is that if they matched up Pat Surtain last week on DK, and for the most part, and I wonder if maybe I assume that they'll line him up against Cooks because Cooks is the alpha, and that's what they would want to do. But I wonder if the matchup was size based a little bit potentially. That's always the one area that I'm never 100% certain on is, do they want the 6'2" corner lined up on the bigger bodied Nico, or do they want to leave it with Darby, who more undersized? I think that there might be more Surtain looks on Nico this week, and I think that's kind of speculation potentially, but something to consider. At least that's what one of those things. Like last week, Keith and Jorge, we talked about were narratives to pay attention to, and that's a narrative that most people, I don't think, do, myself included, is how do they pick a matchup? Is it size based or do they alpha match? And I think that could be it does, supposedly, according to some. Others are liars and they say it doesn't.
Thank
matter.
God, not to my wife. So
yeah.
What do you think though of the overall the game as a whole? I mean, Jorge, are you attacking Texans in this matchup against the Broncos? Maybe no Justin Simmons. There's definitely no Justin Simmons. A little bit of youth in Caden Stearns at safety.
Yeah, I'm going to reserve judgment to see if he actually jumps on this live stream to say what I really think. I personally think Denver is going to roll on this one, and I don't think it's going to be one of those. It's going to be a garbage time situation for the Texans. No, I think Denver is going to roll on both sides of the ball in this one. So,
the over is 45.5. Denver's 10-point favorites. They clearly don't think Houston's going to do much offensively.
Huge advantage in Denver early in the year too, because that's when the air affects the most. It's like September, I think early October. The Denver, I think I saw against the spread, is 14-6-1 in their last 21 games in September.
Perfect. I like that. I do want to watch it. So we covered Carolina, the Giants. We have another question here. Talk to me about the star-studded quarterback matchup. Oh, that's right, Davis. And I think you guys are offending Colby when fellas talk about the Texans getting rolled, and I think that's hurting your chances. You always suck up to the people that you want to bring on to talk. Hence why I'm so
giving him a platform to defend his team.
But I mean, they don't have much around them right now.
They got the great Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins and
the great Damian Pierce.
No, Rex Burkhead. You notice how I'll bypass that, Keith. I won't even mention that because I figure that it's better served to not hear you say, well, it's only 1 week. Let's give him another chance.
Lovie Smith came out in the press. What did Lovie say?
You know how much I trust Lovie? Okay. And I've listened to Lovie do that from his time in Illinois through Chicago. He says a lot of interesting things. He has a lot of good quotes.
Burkhead is not the answer for the year.
I don't.
Damian Pierce will be the back.
I don't disagree with you. I am only simply stating that if we like to jump on our friends and talk talk shit. Let's talk some shit with Wombly and pick 3, Jorge. Do you know?
Full PPR. So J-Rob, Mooney, Claypool, Moore, Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers. He's one of mine 3.
Okay, speak on that. Keep going.
Well, really, who is there in New England, right? You've got Aguilar, who's the most inconsistent person. Kendrick Bourne. Jacoby Myers is the safety blanket and has been for the last 3 years. I mean, I forget how many targets he had last year, but he's put up a few hundred burgers. I know he's only got 1 touchdown, but full-point PPR, is he good for 6 targets, maybe 5 catches? Absolutely.
Mooney has to be included too. Mooney has to be one of them.
Yeah, I'm going Mooney, J-Rob, and Jacoby. Yeah.
So,
can't trust DJ Moore. Just can't trust him.
I trust DJ Moore over Jacoby Myers at 2-1. Like I'm happy to place another little wager today that DJ Moore outproduces Jacoby Myers by 30%.
I would probably go Robinson, Mooney, Moore.
I think Dave should challenge Nate to a team bikini bet.
Whoa, easy.
Nobody wants to see that horse.
I'll buy the bikini so one of y'all can wear it.
What's the Anglia way?
You don't have to show people. You don't have to show people. They just wear it in shame and you don't know that they were wearing it.
Do we have to send you a private video or something, or what's going on?
Snapchat.
That's
to the Fantasy and Frame Snapchat, exactly.
The loser could have to wear the other person's favorite team's gear in their profile picture for a month. There you go.
That was kind of the bet, but he makes me pay for it. So yeah, send me some Patriot swag and I'll wear it. I don't care. I'm not that proud to.
Oh yeah, you got the person that wins has got to give them nobody's going to go out and buy merchandise of the team they don't root for. At least I hope not.
Send me the old. I want the old school Patriots swag though. I don't want the new.
I don't like that old logo. The one with the dude. No,
like
I hate the old logo.
Yeah,
me?
No, I hate it.
I love.
I
the new
do
one.
too.
I'm with Nate here. I love that old logo.
Yeah, that should be the better question, but we haven't got that question. Choose logos. Our friend Jake Thompson. Ugh, God, that's just terrible.
Oh, you don't like that one?
No,
I love that one. That's what I love. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. Whatever. Either way, Jorge, what do you have behind you? Which one do you have?
What do I have?
The Patriots helmet right behind you.
Let's see here. Upper left. It's
covered by the Patriots.
No, it's there we go. It's the new one. It's the newer one.
Oh, well, you're not helping your case. So.
No, I'm not. But if I had the option, if I had the other one with me, it'd be in that case right now.
Well, now that they're changing the name to the Washington Commandos, I don't know what their logo is going to be.
Exactly.
Could be anything.
You know, you can make fun all you want.
Just a naked rear end, you know?
But by season's end, you will be saying that this is one of the best looking helmets in all of football.
I do like the helmet a lot.
Yeah.
They have something going for them.
Unpopular opinion. I actually liked Washington football team.
I did too.
I did too.
I did too.
I don't hate to say it. I like it. Like
I got roasted at dinner this past week when I was at my work conference, and somebody who doesn't know sports at all, they're like, "So what's your team's name in Washington?" I'm like, "Don't you know this?" Like, I don't know sports, and I'm like, "Well, they were the R word, and then they were the football team," and she just starts busting out laughing. The football team, that's so pathetic. I'm like, okay, just stop talking.
Let me ask you this, right? If
they say the New York Football Giants, people say that's basically part of the Giants' name,
right?
Let me ask this: so Washington Redskins, obviously, got axed.
Yeah.
Why are we still allowed to have the Kansas City Chiefs? And I was watching on Thursday night. They're doing these ones.
Yeah.
The Chiefs. Whoa! How is
we
that
still do it at Braves
now?
games too. I'm with you.
Number one. The reason
why is the Redskins crushed?
Because you
and
just
the Chiefs are sitting there doing these we're just cool with it,
Well, here I'll explain that as simply put as possible. You just basically said the most to Native Americans. You just basically said the word that you're not supposed to say because that, by definition, is a derogatory, I'd say racist kind of name. That goes against it. The term chief, I don't think is as deemed derogatory. Yes,
I know they're against the chop, though. Yeah,
but yeah, I know. I get that. I understand. You
make it sound like they're in charge of the arms that control people's arms in the crowd.
Oh, they are.
Don't they play because at the Braves game they still play? Yeah, that's what starts the chop at the Braves games. They start beating the drum
and we still.
I'm saying if we're going to change the Washington football team,
I get it. I
think it should be the Chiefs as well. I think they should ban the chop. I mean, if you're going to go down that.
They tried to do it at the Braves games, and it did not go well. I mean, seriously, it was a pretty ugly situation here for a few months, and then they started just basically allowing it again.
Whole lot of stuff going on there.
That's what you get here. That's what you get here on Fantasy and Frames. We're all about politics.
Yeah, North Carolina the Tar Heels should be gone. That should be completely gone. That's been
What the hell is a Tar Heel?
Well, Tar Heel is used to describe people that used to be in the tobacco plantations, and they would walk back in, and their feet would be black from that.
Okay.
So clearly, we know and you attack the North Carolina basketball franchise, and they will push back entirely more than Kansas City, and essentially that's I get it. I understand if there's one person offended by it, then theoretically you should probably get rid of it as a whole, and the chop is that way.
So
I don't know about that in the Twitter world, because if you say one person, somebody's offended about everything these days.
Well, sure, that's true. That's true.
I will say this: it's easier to elicit change for a team that's at the bottom of the barrel of the league than it is for a team that's at the top, and that's true of any sport, any team, anything.
Not to mention, wasn't Snyder under a lot of heat for a lot of other stuff?
Well, Nike pulled their sponsorship. So yeah, when money's on the table,
it always comes back to cash.
That is absolutely right. That's absolutely.
I've seen the reports that the Vikings are actually there's pushback on them because there's one group of people that are Scandinavian descent.
People in Sweden are living,
But
is that a real thing? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious about the Vikings, and and that's the type of stuff that gets going. It snowballs, and then eventually there's people. I don't believe that there's actually people of Scandinavian descent that are offended as a whole. But they go, oh, well, here's our platform to go ahead and make, I'm not going to say 15 minutes of attention because that's not fair, because that seems like overarching theme that I'm painting with a broad brush. Not trying to do that. Right. But yes.
It's more like 5 these days anyway, to be fair.
If the 4 of us wanted to go and say that we, Dave's from Australia, but he has Scandinavian descent, and we don't like the Vikings because they show a demonstrative and this, it could get traction. You know what else could get traction?
Talking
about football and how the
Pittsburgh that's why we're here. I forgot.
Well, my buddy's a zoologist, and he's offended by the Bengals. All right, so
okay.
What about the Lions?
Hey,
just real quickly with the Tar Heels. I turned this March Madness when my buddies are Tar Heels fans, so I bet on them with my March Madness bracket, so I started just betting on them. I started with $50, turned it into $2,000. I just literally rolled everything over into the Tar Heels game every time.
Can I ask right now who of us on the Fantasy and Frames account is posting these anti-Atlanta Braves comments? Because not me. Who else has access to the Fantasy and Frames account? Oh my God, it's Ken. It's Ken Sonnenberg.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
He's a Mets fan. This is why. Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyhow, continue. Please.
I get it. We've owned the Mets for a long time, so I get it.
Wow, it's a great series.
There was football we were talking about.
Yeah,
Steelers Patriots.
We are totally not getting through all of these games today.
Zero chance.
Yeah,
we can do speed round real fast. I can tell you.
Well, let's try and get done by 12, and then let's just do a speed round. Let's do that.
Yeah, no, I mean New England, Pittsburgh. Like we said, Dave thinks Jacoby Myers is a play. I don't think there's anybody on New England that I'm necessarily excited to play. I think that. All right, Keith, choose one. Damien Harris nope, you didn't listen to the question. Can't buzz in, so wrong. All right, Jorge, I'll go to you then.
All right.
Damien Harris or Ramondre Stevenson, choose one for this game.
Ramondre Stevenson.
All right, Dave.
What? Oh, it's Damien Harris. Come on, guys.
You didn't say I had to choose correctly. You said choose one, and so I went to Ramondre.
It's Damien Harris. I'm going with the number one running back there. I mean, he's the goal line back. He's the number one there. Stevenson is amazing, don't get me wrong, but he's the clear-cut number 2.
And Mixon had a good game last week. They were able to run on that Steelers defense.
The Steelers defense is not, I would say, aggressive against the run. Great pass rush, of course. Now, no TJ Watt. You'll have a lack of pressure. I don't think Alex Highsmith is going to.
You don't think it's going to be a huge drop-off, though, right, Nate? Like, I know he's one of the best pass rushers in the league, but they have other pass rushers, right?
Yeah, but it's a huge drop-off from TJ Watt to anybody. The system itself will align someone to take over his role, and they will have production. They've led the league in sacks for the last 5 years. I'm not saying they're going to drop off completely.
No. Yeah, I got you.
But it's going to be personally,
I was just curious
speaking,
to have him in a few leagues, and like it's a defense. And I didn't know if I
yeah,
need to start looking.
Defense as a whole is hard because you don't care who gets the sacks. You just hope that it's Malik Reed can step in and do enough. Cameron Hayward in the middle should. But on Pittsburgh, I got to tell you, I'm a little concerned with Najee. I don't know if Keith. I'll come back to you, and I'll finish this question this time. Najee Harris will finish as a top 15 running back this week. True or false?
This PPR?
Yeah.
No
yeah. Half point PPR.
No. I'm worried about him, just finishing the game at this point. I mean, if it was PPR, he gets so many targets. And I think that they're going to have some issue blocking for the Patriots, which is going to mean, even more quick releases, more, drop downs to Harris. But I worry about, honestly, like I said, I would stay completely away from guys in this game for standard leagues. And the only guy for DraftKings I like is Pickens, just because he's so cheap and he saw 71% of the snaps last week that you might could get, one big play and it'd be a boom for the price because he's like 3,700.
Who's the number 2 running? Is it Benny Stinks?
No, it's
Jalen Warren.
Who I'd never heard of.
He's the number 2?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
he was the number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah, because he came in last week and got a majority.
Which wasn't much. I mean, Najee wasn't even used in the passing game that much last week, which is something to pay attention to.
I think it's going to change though.
Again, is it because of what he did last year, or is it because of his value in the receiving game? That's the narrative I want to see.
Well, that's fair. I think though he's valuable as a receiver, and especially when you're having trouble running the ball, that's one way to move it short chunks at a time is by throwing it to him instead of trying to run it so much.
Yeah. That's something to pay attention to. I think his foot is definitely more of a concern.
When they tried to kill him last year, I mean, it was awful the amount of touches.
It's been bad. Bad is trying to invest one, I would say, guarantee on the Pittsburgh receiving crew. I love Deontay Johnson. I worried about that shoulder going into last weekend. And what does he do? He puts up 12 targets for 7 catches and only 55 yards, but
he'll get double-digit targets. We can say that, I think, with confidence.
Yeah. But, Dave, does he translate that into production this week against New England?
Sorry. I don't. Say hi, baby.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
I can't see it happening. It's just too inconsistent, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really. I just don't want to take that risk, even at a flex.
Yeah. No, and that's fair.
Don't the Bengals have better corners than the Patriots this year? Though, where maybe there's a little upside.
I think there's a lot of people better than Patriots this year. I don't even think we finish maybe 3rd in the division. Maybe it's gonna be the Bills. It'll be the Dolphins, and it's pretty much a fight between us and the Jets.
Well, the crazy thing is, last week Deontay was lined up against Awuzie, which was a really, really tough matchup, and he caught 4 of the 7 targets, and the remainder of the targets were really against Eli Apple, who he only had 8 yards against. I think this matchup this week is easier personally than what he saw last week. Yeah. At least that's my 2 cents. We'll see if
Pittsburgh... And that guy getting 10 targets, to me, there's always value in that. I mean, because it's just
absolutely what
he does with them.
I'm still a fan of Pat Freiermuth. I think Freiermuth can have a good week as well. Jorge, anything from an IDP standpoint? I'm higher on Juwan Bentley this week because of that focus to stay central from the Steelers. Personally, I think that if they try to run, it's going to be Bentley, and the passes, I don't see them stretching the field too much. I think kind of in between the hash marks. Any other names stand out to you this week?
So, and I know we go over this like all the time when we're talking about pass rushers. Again, for IDP, remember, know your scoring settings. For personally, I think especially for this week in terms of leagues that reward points for sacks and quarterback hits, Matt Judon is still one of those top elite players. Thank you.
Wow, synergy.
Even he knows he trust me, we've gone over this at nauseum all off season. And even though some people are in leagues that they do not reward quarterback hits, he's going to get the sacks this week. This offensive line is not holding back anybody. And Kyle Duggar, again, these are the two guys for the Patriots defense for IDP purposes that you need to be keying in on every single week, especially in those leagues that get you those quarterback hits and reward the pressures applied to an offensive line and to a quarterback. So, yeah, those are the two guys for the Patriots I'm all in on.
Yep, that sounds about right for me as well. The Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this week has been more heartbreaking for that matchup from what I've seen on the injury report, the practice report, etc. For the Colts, we're still 3-point favorites as 43.5 over. I worry that the Colts don't cover. I think Jacksonville can actually win this game. I know that may sound crazy to some, but Indy without
Pittman.
Michael Pittman, without potentially Kenny Moore, without potentially DeForest Buckner. I mean, you took three of their most important players, three of the most important. I'm not taking anything away from Jonathan Taylor, and you already have Shaq Leonard out. That defense is going to be susceptible, if you ask me. Jacksonville matchup with Christian Kirk was always going to be Kirk versus Kenny Moore, one that I just wanted to focus on Kenny Moore. Thought that would be great, kind of eliminate that and allow that to be Travis Etienne and James Robinson day. But Jorge, I'm gonna give you the question here, and I think I know your answer already. You can only choose one: James Robinson or Travis Etienne in this matchup.
No, give me J-Rob. Give me known commodity versus, well, he has the potential.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer for Keith. He would take Etienne.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not Etienne, it's Etney. All right. You get it. This is how we do things in the South here, Nate. It's not Travis Etienne. Am I right, Keith? Come on.
Honestly, I don't know. I say Etienne, so I don't know.
Come on.
I'm terrible at pronouncing things. That's what I'm saying. I do not know.
Well, I call him
Kamara.
Exactly. I call him good, is what I call him.
Do you, Nate? So are you saying that you do or don't like Kirk this week?
I do now. I like him more without Kenny Moore being it potentially in. I want to pay attention to that. I haven't seen the reports yet if Kenny Moore is going to play or not. Christian Kirk, to me, last week explained and backed up my thought is that Christian Kirk is not an alpha to play one-on-one matchups outside. They're going to need him to be in the slot to be the most productive, personally speaking. And I think that was my opinion going in, and that's been what we've seen as a result. It's been, they slid him into the slot. He was hyper productive in that position. And that's kind of my focus. I wonder if Zay Jones, who was also in the slot, they back and forth. He is heavily targeted. That would have been my pivot if Kenny Moore was in. Right. But as a result, it's I still think it's Christian Kirk. That's my opinion. You agree?
Yeah. Oh, I love Kirk this week. That's why I was asking, what you thought, because you know more of the defensive side than I do. I just think that he's going to get targets, and again, for DraftKings, which is what I do predominantly, if I know somebody's going to get 5 receptions a game, and he's 5,700 this week, sign me up all day. Yeah,
exactly. I really like Kirk. Dave, let's talk a little bit about Washington though, Washington. Indy's offense. Jonathan Taylor exclusively, but what about? I've seen a lot of talk about Nyheim Hines this week. Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable with Nyheim Hines being put into your flex?
Oh, it's just too risky, to be honest. I mean, I just don't want to touch it. I hate to say it depends what you need. I mean, are you playing him at your flex? Is it your running back 2? Where is he at? I just think he's a.
What about for a flex?
You're relying on him falling into the end zone. That's really what it is. Maybe he catches 3 or 4
PPR league, right?
But even PPR, they're using Jonathan Taylor more as a dual threat running back. He's catching passes now. I don't think Hines comes in and steals that away from him. It's not Derrick Henry where he's just a north-south runner, right? JT.
Even in a game? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think JT does it all. You're hoping he comes in on the 3rd down and maybe takes a screen pass to the house. I don't know. It's just too risky for me.
I just think he could get a good bit more targets than normal today with Pittman being out, with Pierce being out, and just as a way to kind of move the ball in the passing game. Because, he had 5 receptions in week 1. And I think that's going to be pretty much the norm week in and week out with Ryan. So if it's a PPR league, I would feel comfortable playing in the flex. But I mean, if it's a non-PPR league, I completely agree with Dave that it's too risky.
Yeah, obviously your matchups will dig, and your other options, and you can never know every single person's option. So take it with a grain of salt. I expect Hines in a PPR league to put up somewhere around 9 to 10 points. I think is probably a safe number. I think 5 to 6 receptions for, 40 to 50 yards. Yep. I mean, he had 6 for 50 last week on 6 targets. Yep. And yet, like Dave said, Jonathan Taylor was out targeted Nyheim Hines 7 to 6, which is something good for JT owners.
Taylor owners are thrilled.
Do we worry about JT this week though? Because really now with Paris Campbell being the number 1, defenses are just going to absolutely stop the run, right? Or they're going to focus on
Ryan's a good enough QB where I'm telling you again, Gabriel Davis. I mean, Zacchaeus. There's a history in Atlanta of when you think who are we going to throw the ball to. I mean, it was like last year. He had nobody to throw it to and still threw over 4,000 yards. I think they'll be able to move the ball enough in the past to where the defense won't just be able to completely load up on Taylor. If they try that, they'll get burnt, and then you'll see Taylor, have more success later in the game.
Yeah, the key matchup to focus on, or the key, I'd say, narrative is, does Jacksonville get up in this game early? Does that? Yeah. If that's the case, we will see more Nyheim Hines, I think, personally, than we'll see Jonathan. Not more than Jonathan Taylor, but a higher percentage. If Indy can control the clock, slow down Jacksonville, which sounds weird to even say, and play probably a 12 personnel, which I think they kind of want to do, because we saw it last week, is that if you can get Kylan Granson involved and allow him to do both. I mean, he's not the greatest pass blocking or run blocking. I mean, tight end, but 2 big bodies on the outside, allow more space for Jonathan Taylor, and then systematically beat them downfield with Paris Campbell or Ashton Dulin. I don't see it that way. I think it turns into more of a shootout than Indy wants to be in initially, and I think they have to try to spread the ball around a little bit. We talked a lot about the injuries across both sides, mostly for the Colts. From an IDP standpoint, Kwity Paye is still a dangerous pass rusher. I think the matchup is a little bit more challenging when you don't have DeForest Buckner, personally, but or Shaq Leonard for that case. On Jacksonville's side, Trayvon Walker's been excellent. He's been really good. I was way wrong on that. I think that there's a good chance that he beats Pryor on the outside to get some pressure on Matt Ryan, maybe picks up a sack, but really Foyce Oluokun and Devin Lloyd are going to be the 2 that probably eat the most in this matchup, because if they run as heavy as we want Indy to run, those 2 should just be pretty much in line to go ahead and absolutely just devour tackles in this game. Jorge, welcome back.
My dog wanted to make an appearance on the show, so I thought, okay, good timing.
No, you're welcome, everybody. So, yeah, we kind of wrapped up Jacksonville and Indianapolis there. Was there any areas
must-win game for Indy too?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's one that you don't want to overlook, because I think they went into the season thinking that was
2-0. Yeah,
the victory for them. But next game, as we go through Miami, Baltimore, you guys tell me if I'm crazy. Tua is going to finish, and I'm not a Tua fan. If I can't say that enough, I'll say it some more. Not a Tua fan personally. Tua finishes as a QB1 this week. True or false, Jorge?
False.
Nope,
false?
You only get that sounds like a question. This is
false. It is not finished as a QB1 this week. No.
Dave?
Look, he played against the Patriots, and they're known for losing to the Dolphins. I'm not trusting it. I've no stock of Tua anywhere. I have no intention on starting that anytime soon.
And Keith?
I think true. What I saw with Waddle and Hill, he's not going to be asked to do much, and that was why I kind of thought early in the year that this was a good news for Tua. I mean, he's going to just have to basically get rid of the ball quickly, which you can do, and be accurate on short passes. And you got 2 receivers like that, they're going to do a lot of damage.
I think that Baltimore's secondary is kind of decimated in that. I mean, hell, it was supposed to be Brandon Stevens, and even he's out now. I don't know. I am eerily confident that this is that game, that this is the Tyreek blow up game that he like first half of last week. It started off that way. It fizzled out and it didn't happen. I don't know. I'm maybe more optimistic on Tua than I should be.
Chase Edmonds should have a big week too. 15 receptions given up to running backs last week by the Ravens.
Correct. And Jorge, you can agree here. When you have Patrick Queen in the middle of that lineup that can't cover anything, I would target him too. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Nate. You are not wrong.
Am I right in that I would start Jason Oweh or Justin Houston?
Man, it's kind of hard to ignore what Justin Houston did last week. I mean, he was just basically living in the Jets' backfield. I kind of would rather the hot hand with this situation with Justin Houston.
Yeah, that was the one thing I noticed last week is that the Miami left tackle, left guard combo of Teron Armstead and Liam Eichenberg allowed for like the most pressures in the NFL. And then I realized it's like, oh, he's a lefty. I forget that you traditionally see that the arm side is going to give up more quote unquote pressures because they have a tendency to run that way. And they force themselves into hurries and they force themselves into some QB hits. And so it's a little skewed. And Justin Houston is on the other side. Valid point.
Hey, Jorge, do you have those helmets in divisions?
I do. Yes.
It's baller, man. It's so awesome.
Thank you very much for noticing. You're the first one to and it's funny. Originally, my plan was during the season is to arrange them by matchup. So it'd be like Washington versus Detroit, but right now they're division by division. Yes,
that's cool.
Yeah, I can't see the Patriots though.
They're
top
over,
left corner, right?
Yeah. There.
Gotcha. Oh, there you go. Yeah, gotcha.
No, but I only have autographs in the left one. I got Devontae Adams. I got Roquan Smith, and I got Elijah Mitchell.
Go Dogs.
There you go.
Nice. Guys, I don't know how we're going to get through all of the games here. And so why don't we find one flex worthy, I would say him or one versus, spy versus spy in these upcoming matchups that we have. We've got Washington and Detroit next. Right. Terry McLaurin or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
St. Brown.
St. Brown
for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Not even a question.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
I don't trust Scary Terry.
He only performed last week.
I love Scary Terry. I just don't
he was doing nothing
for St. Brown.
He's doing nothing for a big chunk of that game until he got that big bomb touchdown.
That's what he does, though. 40, and with Carson, he's going to do more of that.
49.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's have a little side bet on the side. We'll see.
Yeah, a lot of bets. That to me is an interesting one because I was shut down. I was out on McLaurin because of the matchup with I'm just gonna say Levi, and that scared me. But with him potentially out, we should be getting all the details now coming out with who's in and who's out. Man, I might lean Amon-Ra. I think I do, and I don't know if I like that much, but yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at as well. All right, Seattle, San Francisco. How about this? Rashad Penny, Jeff Wilson.
Penny.
Absolutely Penny.
Give me Penny, but coincidentally, I know you didn't ask this, give me Drake Greenlaw on the other side with Fred Warner for IDP purposes. So
okay. Well, okay, Fred Warner or Jordan Brooks.
Brooks, just because the snap percentages are higher.
Fair enough. I would agree with that. Here's a question about that matchup. Do we think Ken Walker takes over under 6 rushing attempts?
Under.
How many did you have last week?
He didn't play last week.
Oh, that's right. I would say under then.
This will be his first action, and according to Pete Carroll, he will get some play.
That's funny. That's good.
where
he's not getting play. I mean,
I don't think so too. I hope not. I have a
Penny
ton.
didn't get but like what 12 carries or something,
12
and he was
carries.
averaging like
He was
6 yards.
efficient. He was getting 5-6 yards to carry. Yeah,
That's what
He
I'm
looked
saying.
good.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, he looked good in that game, but
What are these coaches thinking? We're just like, we'll get 6 yards every time we give him the ball, but we're gonna give it to him 10 times.
Yep, and that's pretty much where they stopped. I was optimistic to see the 3 targets. Fumble didn't help, but it is what it is. Let's go Penny this week. Come on, and I have Jeff Wilson too in some places. Atlanta, LA.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts or Allen Robinson.
Pitts.
Yeah, come on.
I want to give you guys an easy one. I can't think of anybody else from Atlanta. I mean, we've already answered enough Drake London, Allen Robinson.
Cordell Patterson would have been an interesting one.
I won't talk about Cordell Patterson because he's a piece of shit. I can't stand him. I don't say that.
I told y'all not to be so down on him during the preseason.
We actually, I agreed with you that I thought he was being underappreciated at the RB36 draft spot he was currently being taken at. I did not see 120 yards rushing out of him last week. But
nice to see him on that 3rd and 1 to win the game.
He's, very involved. I think it's going to be.
I'm shocked about Algier. Like I thought for sure he was going to do the Mike Davis role, but they made a roster spot for Felipe Franks as a freaking tight end over him, which is just
weird, huh? Does Atlanta cover the 10 points, Keith?
No.
All right, good to know that it's not too crazy to think.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, Denver. How about this one for let's see, Brandon Cooks, Cortland Sutton.
Cooks. Give me Cooks.
Anybody? I'm taking Sutton.
I'll take Sutton.
Cooks.
Man, I think that's a very, very close 10 and 13 in my rankings. I really liked I like the involvement in the second half and the pacing that Sutton had because he was pretty much non-existent in the first half. And I think that whole team looked to be slow in getting, gelled. And maybe that'll be the case. And maybe that's what we'll see is do that. So here we have a question. Cortland Sutton or T. Higgins in half-point PPR?
Has Higgins been cleared to play?
He is.
Yeah.
Higgins.
Okay.
I'm going Higgins.
Yeah.
I'm going Sutton on this one, but I don't like it. I don't know. I'm not a Higgins fan.
He had this targets last year as Jamar Chase in the last 11 games they played.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the value, especially against the Cowboys, I like Higgins. I like Higgins.
Burrow did not look good last week. Any thoughts on that? Yes, no?
He did not look good last week, but again, you have to think about it from the cliche standpoints of like it was a divisional team opponent, it was a first week, it was this and that, it was a team that plays them well. Like you throw in all the different cliches you want to against last week. Let's also throw in the narrative like, hey, dude just had like an appendectomy, so maybe he's just not exactly 100%. But we saw as the game went on later that he started to pull it together. I say he continues that against a decrepit Cowboys team this week.
I do as well, but again, my narrative of it being Joe Mixon fed game, I know that they both can succeed, but I have them so close. I'm probably leaning Cortland Sutton just in the
that would be my concern with Higgins. It's just it turns into they run out of time because they get up early.
Yeah, but great again, another great option to have.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
So how about this? Hunter Renfrow or Hollywood Brown in the Arizona-Las Vegas game?
Ooh.
Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm taking Hollywood.
I'm on Hollywood as well. Dave, Jorge?
I'm actually going to go with the bounce back for Renfrow. I think you're going to see the secondary kind of limit, so not take away, okay, but limit some of the downfield passes you're going to see with the Raiders, and they get back on track with getting Renfrow the ball.
Issue is if they put Simmons on Waller, Waller's going to have a field day.
Could Devontae Adams be the steal of drafts? He played lights out last week. It was very Cooper Kupp-esque. Is he someone that we stole in the second round that should have been a first rounder?
probably.
Yeah, it's hard to argue, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Here, we'll go one for another one for this game. James Conner or Josh Jacobs?
Jacobs.
Connors.
I think the Cardinals are just so confused on offense last week. I just feel, I mean, he was saved by that that goal line score. But give me Jacob. I'm digging this running game for the Raiders. I think they got something special going on here. We just have to give it a few weeks for it to fully materialize.
Yeah, the back-to-back in rankings is for in my case. All right, so how about this? Let's go Zeke Tony Pollard or Tyler Boyd?
Tyler Boyd.
Probably going Boyd.
I like
I don't
Pollard.
like it.
You like
Why
Boyd,
Pollard? Keith?
I just think that they're going to try to get him more pass attempts this week. And they obviously, I think Dallas to win the game is going to need to run it more, meaning that you could be a higher, run count for both Zeke and Pollard.
That's a tough one, though.
And Higgins is coming back. If Higgins was out, I'd have said Boyd for sure.
Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah. And that's, I think that's again, my narrative that I have set has to focus and drive my projections, because what's the point of saying and projecting one thing and applying to the other? Let's go to, and that was Cincinnati -7, only over under a 42, shockingly lower point total than I expected, honestly.
Wow. Yeah.
With Cincinnati only with being 7-point favorites, and I mean only 42 either way, because Chicago Green Bay is a 42-point total, with Green Bay as a 10-point favorite. Here's one.
I'm still sticking to my call I made last week that the Packers finished last in their division.
Yeah.
Hey.
If they lose today, I'm going to start calling you a genius.
Yeah. But if we know one thing, we know that Aaron Rodgers
Owns
started
the
off,
Bears. He reminds us.
and he was absolutely terrible in week 1.
He loses this week, I think.
Jacksonville last year, right?
And what happened?
Fields takes him. Fields takes him out this week. I do.
Okay. So Fields or Aaron Rodgers.
Other than their running game, right? Is there any wide receivers that are a real threat? I mean, Devontae Adams, I know we just spoke about him, but he's probably, in my opinion, best receiver in the game. Defenses had to respect him. That opened up opportunity for everyone. Who is it that you're really worried about there? Sammy Watkins.
All right, let's go to one prop bet and let's answer these questions here. Passing yards, Fields or Rodgers?
Fields.
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
Okay. Let's see here. For fantasy points, higher or lower than 18.9 for Rodgers this week?
Lower.
Dave? Higher, you said?
Lower.
Lower? Okay.
I'm saying higher because I think that the A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones touchdowns will be of the receiving variety.
Okay.
I'm going to say lower.
Okay. 250 yards passing for Rodgers, higher or lower?
I think he falls right around there. I don't know. Maybe a little bit lower. I'd go lower if I had a gun to my head.
All right. And then 33 passing attempts, higher or lower?
I'm going higher on that one.
Yeah, higher for me too.
All right.
I think it's higher because they're going to be trailing. I do. I think that the Bears take them easily by 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
I do.
Wow, you should go bet really, really heavy because they're 10-point favorites. And
I was going to say, the Bears to win by more than 7's probably.
If you get the Bears plus
5 to 1, 6 to 1.
Oh yeah, really good. Go ahead, Jorge. What else you got?
We got a comment here from Zero Destroyer on YouTube. Hey, what's up, guys? What do you think? I should start at flex at PPR. Patterson, Zeke, Moore, or Cooks?
Only one spot.
Is that Elijah
there.
Moore, I guess?
I'm assuming, yeah, or DJ Moore. That's a great question, Zero Destroyer. If you can get back to us with that. If I could start, who should I start at flex? I'd go with Cordell Patterson. To be honest with you.
Yep.
That'd be my pick right there.
Most likely to score, and he's going to get some targets.
Yep.
Yeah, never thought I would say that, but I think I agree. And it's DJ Moore. Oh boy,
I still think it's Patterson. See, Johnny 80, Zeke or AJ Dillon half. Is this even close? No, it's not close. And
Which way? Oh, okay, I got you. Who you got?
I think it's AJ Dillon. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Nah, come on. The Zeke disrespect is getting out of control, guys. Come on.
What's the offense? It's not Zeke.
Yeah. This ain't the offensive line in 2016 he's running behind here, David.
Yeah.
And it's not like Dak's back there either.
Right. We saw it last year when just by the subtraction of Tyron Smith, his yardage was cut in half. His yards per attempt were cut in half. They were near the bottom of the league in production in the running game as a result of that. And that was before you took away, Connor McGovern. Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked how much Dillon rush attempted Jones in week 1, which if that's going to be the case week to week, I mean, Dillon is a great play. I mean, hell, he might be a top 12 back this year.
Yeah.
They need to move they obviously need more production out of Rodgers and move everything for him to be involved and successful. But I know that seems crazy. I don't think it's as far away as possible. Like my rankings between Zeke and AJ Dillon, I literally have Dillon 2 spots ahead of Zeke. That's it. So it's not that crazy for me, at least. Any other questions there? Or
no, I think we're all good with questions on the social media channels, which everybody who's been watching and following, thank you very much for all of this. This is fantastic. Back-to-back weeks, we're getting loaded with start-sit questions. I love it.
I hope that I love not being able to get through the games fast enough because people have real questions instead of us having narratives that might help people as answers. It's just, and we're starting to see a trend of the same people built in. And, of course, that's the focus that we'll have going into next week is, did Drake London produce for people on people's benches? Did DJ Moore come through?
St. Brown does, because I think I picked him in every question.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you'll be watching that, I guarantee. And as soon as he scores a touchdown, you'll be in our Slack chat telling everybody.
I'm the smartest man alive.
All right. If you're so smart, Derrick Henry or Stephon Diggs?
That is tougher than I'd like to admit.
No one's going to have that one, but I think it's
just because of what we saw from the Titans secondary
half-point
last week. Yeah, I think Diggs is. I mean, I was really impressed by him week 1. I thought with Gabe Davis being a starting lineup, his target share and reception would go down. Hell, it went up from what it was last year. I know it's only one game. And again, Tennessee's got their best pass rusher out. I think they're still missing one corner. I think I'd go Diggs because if they get up early, how much is Henry going to be able to affect the game?
Yeah. Anybody disagree? Anybody have?
Nope. I 100% on Stephon to go Terps.
So Jorge, do an IDP start sit.
Okay.
Tremaine Edmonds or David Long?
David Long.
Really?
Look, I say that because I've always been very let down by the upside of Tremaine Edmonds. He has the steadier. He's going against the running game of Derrick Henry. The volume is going to be there for the running game for Tennessee. Obviously, he's going to be on the field more. Give me Edmonds in this matchup. But generally, I am not a huge Edmonds fan.
Fair enough. Hey, I right there with you. I think you and the entire state of New York and the entire city of Buffalo are in agreement because no one gives Tremaine Edmonds the respect that he may or may not deserve. Hard to say exactly, but I can tell you if they feed the ball to Derrick Henry 30 times, Tremaine Edmonds could be that 11 to 12 tackle guy. But maybe or maybe not David Long. I have Tremaine 3 spots ahead of David Long. Doesn't mean that you're wrong or you're right, but
I mean, it kind of does, but it will.
It kind of.
Well, I was going to say somebody's always wrong or right.
Yeah, and there's no doubt unless it's a tie, and then it's just dumb.
So we got Ken Sonnenberg with one question, who, by the way, did hijack the Fantasy and Frames account earlier and started talking smack about the Atlanta Braves. So that's the culprit there, Keith.
Yeah,
Tyler
that doesn't bother me.
Exactly. Who has a World Series ring on their finger after last year? So that's just a lot to say about that. Tyler Boyd or Devonta Smith?
Man,
Dave,
I'm going Smith for the upside.
Okay.
He might disappoint you, but he's the caliber of player. He can break off for an 80-yard touchdown out of nowhere. So it's risky, but I'll take Smith.
All right.
I like plays like that where you do just go for the upside play because you're right. The floor of both of them is, I mean, well, we've seen Devontae Smith's floor. It's 0. But Tyler Boyd, you know, I mean, it is with T there. There's a chance we see a 3 for 36 game out of him, and you're just disappointed across the board.
Fit your narratives too, Nate. That I think they really wanted to get AJ Brown involved last week. Just kind of send a message to the league, and I don't expect Devontae Smith to be a bust this year. I think that they need him to be a cog in that offense to reach their potential.
I was very wrong about AJ Brown. I was so low on him going into the season, and he looked incredible last week.
Yes, so last game on the slate is Minnesota at Philly, one of the highest point totals of the week, 50.5. Philadelphia's 2.5-point favorites. We're going to leave on the highest of notes possible. Kirk Cousins or Jalen Hurts. Is it even close, or is there somebody that might say?
I think it's Cousins. I think it's
Cousins. I'll take Cousins.
You know what Jalen Hurts didn't face last week? Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith, and Hicks and Kendricks and Harrison Smith. Not Harrison Smith. All of these defenders for the Minnesota Vikings. The quality of defense that Hurts is going to be going against. I know he's a cheat code, but whatever. Give me Kirk Cousins.
Hurts scored 20 or more points now in like 16 out of his 18 starts. Give me Hurts.
I have Hurts, but I have Cousins as my number 7 on the week. I am definitely high on Kirk Cousins in this matchup. I think that over is going to be very good, but I am on Team Hurts, and I am on Team Fantasy and Frames for another solid week of pregame. And fellas, I'm going to let everybody get out of here now, because we got about 45 minutes until kickoff, and everybody's got about 45 leagues to set up, rankings and everything else. So on behalf of Nate, Jorge, Dave, and Keith, we'll see you next week.